Million Dollar Weekend by Noah Kagan, who is the founder of $8 million businesses, including AppSumo, Mint, which got 1 million users in 6 months, TidyCal, a product I use that competes with Calendly, 10,000 paying customers in just 6 months, Kickflip, Gambit, King Sumo, SendFox, Sumo, Monthly 1K, all $1 million or more businesses. I really agree with the philosophy in this book, which is really around doing a lot of small experiments and agile approach to entrepreneurship. That's 100% what has worked for me. Now, I think there are exceptions. My brothers are very successful entrepreneurs. They didn't focus on that approach. They focused more on getting the perfect product and perfecting it over years. That can work in certain industries like entertainment, but I think for most entrepreneurs, this experimental agile approach is going to work. Let's go into the details. The number one regret about every entrepreneur that this guy has met is, I wish I started my email list sooner. Later, we're going to talk about how email is one of the most important ways to monetize your audience, to actually generate sales rather than just viewers or followers. You want to validate your ideas with market research. Don't think first about scaling, which is a mistake people try to do, is they think, how am I going to scale this thing? Well, you haven't even really figured out how to sell it manually first, so worry about automation later. Look for processes to automate or document to get someone else to do it when you are concerned with scaling up. Marketing is easy when you have a product people want. And that's a big mistake a lot of entrepreneurs do, is they try to make the perfect product, and then they realize after developing it that nobody actually wants it. There's no market demand for it. Customers want solutions. They don't want things like software. A lot of SaaS founders, for example, are trying to push software on people, but that may not even be the best solution. For me, for example, I realized a better solution to a lot of problems is just to hire more people in the Philippines, in India, hire more virtual assistants. They are more versatile in a lot of cases than something like a software product. There are affordable ways to validate ideas without investing heavily in manufacturing or software development. You want to find a problem people have that you can solve, craft an irresistible solution that's backed by research, and validate your idea by pre-selling it before you even build it. He gives some examples: $83,000 per month consulting business, $250,000 per year tutoring people on how to use technology. And another example is a course he sells, how to make $100,000 a month business. 2 common reasons for entrepreneurship failure. Number 1, fear of starting. A lot of entrepreneurs, they want more preparation, more planning, more talking, in essence, more procrastinating. Really, instead, what you should be doing is small experiments, repeat it over time. That is the recipe for transformation. That's definitely what's worked for me. Doing things like putting out a ton of courses and realizing what does the market want, putting out hundreds of videos and then realizing what gets traction, putting a lot of products out into the market or different variants and seeing what people respond to, putting out different video ads on YouTube and on Facebook, see which ones grab, which ones don't, kill the ideas that fail, accept and double down on the ones that are successful. And recognize that experiments are supposed to fail. Which brings me to the number 2 reason, fear of asking. You have to ask to get people to buy something, and you have to accept rejection. One of the biggest things holding entrepreneurs back from taking action is the fear of rejection. Expertise is not the key to success. Willingness to run experiments is the key to success. Success comes from trying more things. There is of utmost importance that you focus on frequency of doing things, because the more you do, the more volume, the more experimentation you do, the more and the faster you're going to learn. This is something not just stressed by Noah Kagan, but it's also stressed by Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, 2 very successful entrepreneurs. So Grant Cardone talks about taking lots and lots of action, not thinking, not talking, not planning, but acting, publishing books, putting out videos, putting out products, putting more product variations out on Amazon. Whatever it is, do more of that action. Steve Jobs, quote, "You gotta act." Business is just a never-ending cycle of starting and trying new things, asking whether people will pay for those things. Focus on being a starter, an experimenter, a learner. Most powerful growth tool for solopreneurs is a system of content creation, audience building, and email marketing. Define yourself by the things you do each day. In other words, define your identity around the process, around what actions you are taking. Don't focus so much on the results. I am rich, or I am successful, or I have 1 million followers, or I will be these things. Instead, define yourself by the process, because it is the process, it is the actions you are taking that are going to get you to success. Most people, they overthink first and act later, but every successful entrepreneur, they act first and they figure it out later. Any analysis ahead of action is purely speculation, and there is tons of speculation happening out there. You go on social media, everybody has an opinion. Oh, this will work, this theory will work. Well, take the action, see for yourself what works, what doesn't work. Hitting a monthly revenue number is effective motivation. The upside of asking, like asking for a sale or asking somebody to try your product, is unlimited, and the downside is minimal. Most people don't ask for what they want. They wish, they make suggestions, they drop hints, they hope. Aim to get at least 25 rejections, because that'll get it out of your head, this fear of rejection. Ask instead of talking yourself out of doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. Ask for reviews. Ask for sales. Ask for people to buy your product before you've built it. And follow up. Follow up is twice as likely to get a yes. At AppSumo, for example, about 50% of his sales come from follow-up emails. It's deadly to build a business without verifying first that there are paying customers. Ask friends. For example, he asked friends that owned Facebook games, created Facebook games, if they had switched to a different payment software, if he offered lower commissions. He found out it was an easy sell. These app developers wanted a cheaper payment process system, so it was very easy to get them to buy. Customers want solutions. They don't want your ideas. Your ideas are not that valuable. That's a common mistake people have, is they have this grand idea of what would make a great product or a great business. But execution is really what's valuable in the world, and especially when you solve people's problems. Customers come first, even before your product or service. Get these right. Number 1, who you are selling to. Number 2, what problem you're solving. And 3, where they are. How you're going to find these people. Are they in Facebook groups? Are they on Facebook Marketplace? Are they on Amazon? Are they on certain secret groups on Discord? Are they hanging out in person at special events, at industry forums? Sell to small early adopter groups before you build the product. Experiment. So examples of that would be subreddits, where there are niche groups, or it could be something like Kickstarter. Focused on having a must-have, in other words, a painkiller, not a vitamin. Most essential need for businesses is getting more customers. So if you can sell them something that will get them more customers, they're more likely to buy from you. Look at companies outside your industry for ideas, inspiration. Don't be afraid to cold email. So for example, the author wrote Imgur's creator, offering him money at no cost. So a very valuable small business partnership. And of course, he said yes. And we learned this from Jason Lemkin, one of the most successful SaaS voices out there in Silicon Valley. And he talks a lot about how executives read emails, and how email is probably the most effective way to get people to take action, to buy your product. Reddit ads targeting groups is another thing that I've done very successfully. Focus on getting your first dollar and worry about scaling later. So actually getting people to buy, or getting people to open their wallets and say, yeah, I like your product so much because it solves a pain of mine. I'm willing to give you money now, even though your product doesn't exist yet. MVPs, too focused on product and not customer. So a minimum viable product is not always the best solution in Noah Kagan's opinion, because it's not focused on what the customer needs are. It's too supply focused, not demand enough focused. Focus on the conversation with customers. So a lot of people, I've run into this all the time. Entrepreneurs, they want to spend thousands of dollars on a website. They want to get a new logo. But really, what gets the sale is just the conversation with the customer. Conversations are cheap. Conversations are emails. Conversations are telephone. Conversations are in person. They're DMs on Instagram. That's what gets people to buy. And we learned this also from the book, The Conversion Code, one of the most common quotes from that is conversations create customers. When novice entrepreneurs search for opportunities, they too often look beyond their zone of influence. So Peter Lynch, for example, really famous investor, wrote a lot of great books of investing. And one of the most common mistakes he says is that people invest in things that they don't understand. They invest in pharmaceuticals when they aren't doctors, they're not pharmacists, they have no expertise. Invest in something you know. If you buy certain types of clothing or you have some specialized knowledge, invest in that. And it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. What groups do you belong to? In what areas do you have influence and understanding? Focus on that. That's where your opportunities are for entrepreneurship. Think about groups you can target. For example, your golf buddies are part of a group. Best idea. Here's how you come up with it. What's the most painful problem you can solve for people that you have a passion for or unique expertise in? For the largest niche possible that you belong to and understand, focus on your existing community, and then think about these things. One thing I regularly fail to do well, one thing I wanted to buy recently only to find out that no one made it. There was no market, there was no product or service on the market to solve that problem. Look to best sellers. What products are already selling well? Maybe you can accessorize that product or sell a service related to it. For example, iPhone. There are a lot of accessories, a lot of business markets that emerge around the ecosystem of the iPhone, and you can piggyback off of that. It's easy to sell to a large group who already bought something. They bought the iPhone. Okay, maybe they're going to buy a special lens or a special case or a special strap that attaches to that iPhone. Look at marketplaces, Craigslist, Etsy, Facebook. In my startup marketing course, one of the main things I recommend to entrepreneurs when they're first getting started is go where people are shopping. Sell on Etsy, sell on Facebook, sell on Amazon, because it's going to be much easier to get a sale when people have their wallets open than to try to convince a cold audience to buy from your random website. Research using answerthepublic.com, research using Reddit, research using the subreddit. Somebody make this, which is where people are posting ideas that they want entrepreneurs to go and fulfill. Surfing is an analogy here. You still fail if you don't have a good wave to ride. And that's thinking about what the market trends are, where the demand really is in the market. Cody Sanchez has 1 million followers teaching people how to own and operate boring businesses like vending machines and RV rentals. So it's not necessarily new exciting things that are money-making opportunities. Your job is not to create demand for something exciting. Instead, find demand and satisfy it. And I think that's one of the most common mistakes in my experience that I see in entrepreneurship is people build a product and they're trying to force people to buy it. It's much better to look at where the demand is and fill it. And in my experience, that's often means going after markets where there's a lot of competition. And the reason there's a lot of competition is because there's a lot of money to be made in that market. If you come up with something super unique, this is my opinion, not the author's opinion, then you're often going to peg yourself into a niche that nobody wants to buy from. So it's better to go where the demand is. Gambit is an example of a product. There were lots of games that were launched on Facebook and they needed payment options. Another thing is there's a huge trend happening, a huge wave now related to cryptocurrency. If you sell something related to crypto taxes, you're likely to make a lot of money because you're riding a wave. Now you got to think about your price point. Can you sell more than one after they buy their first item? Can you get bigger deals per transaction or a recurring subscription? It's better to be in the reorder business than selling a one-off purchase. 6 revenue drivers. Average order value, frequency, price point, customer type, for example, wealthier customers, product line, can you add more products? And 6, add-on services. Pivot. Think about whether you need to pivot in your business. The Hustle.co went from live events, putting on live events, to simply a newsletter to promote events. And when they did that switch to a newsletter, they sold the HubSpot for a high 8-figure purchase. Test target buyers' willingness to pay, get them to actually pay. For example, a Silicon Valley company I was working with AI related to video, they didn't want me to just say, oh, will you buy this product in the future? Or is this product interesting to you? They actually got me to pay for it just to test the validity of what they were selling. And once they had a value proposition that was strong enough, of course, I was willing to pay for it and sign up. And you can incentivize people to sign up now by giving them an early bird discount. Message people People in groups you belong to. There's no need for a fancy website. Message people on LinkedIn, SMS, Twitter. Look for their pain. Ask them to pay you via PayPal. You don't need any fancy e-commerce. You don't need Magento, etc. Just DM them, call them, text them. These are much more effective mechanisms than doing something passive like just posting it on your Facebook wall or on your Instagram story. Ask for referrals. One person you know who would really like this. Always ask for referrals. Specify the kind of referral and use a specific number. So for example, just one person who would value this or who works in X industry or has this hobby, etc. Draw a quick photo of what you plan to sell and post it on marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace. Don't start with finding a manufacturer and figuring out the logistics. You got to figure out the demand first. Are people going to buy it? You can make a basic page if you want it to with a button that links to your PayPal, or on that website, you can simply say, send money to this PayPal email address. Social media is for growth. Email is for profit. You can build an audience through years of free YouTube videos, weekly email newsletters, Q&As, and establish what we call 1,000 true fans. Communities are created through generosity, and generosity here usually means giving away advice or free information. Embrace your uniqueness, something people water down in the beginning, but your uniqueness helps build your personal brand, makes you stand out from the crowd. Have a limited number of people listen to podcasts, so that could be a niche that works for you, but you're more likely to be successful perhaps with broader reach. Things like YouTube. Justin Welsh had success with LinkedIn, selling a course and earning $1.3 million, but on LinkedIn it's hard to go viral. Blogging today is less effective because people are spending more time directly on social media. You see, years ago, blogging was all the rage in the marketing world, but it's kind of simmered down these days. Twitter, going viral is possible, but getting people to leave the platform and buy something is tough. You can try things like provocative comments to stand out on Twitter. One YouTube subscriber is equal to about 25 TikTok subscribers. And I think one of the reasons for this, based on the data I looked at, is that there are tons of robots on TikTok. And of course, there are on most platforms, but TikTok seems suspiciously suspicious. YouTube is the best to grow an audience of quality for free. For example, he cites somebody who makes documentaries about famous people, and that's just a faceless YouTube channel that built up. The key is to build an audience and move them to your email list, which you own, because you don't own the YouTube algorithm. It could change overnight, but an email list that's basically yours. You can sell people from there. Start with specific topics. This is YouTube. Start with a specific topic in a tiny circle to build raving fans, and then you expand your circle of influence of content to larger groups. So for example, your core circle is where you're going to focus on a specific target group and an outcome that you deliver for them. So for example, making more money through Facebook ads. Then you progress to a medium circle, which overlaps with your core audience, but then you're able to target broader groups of people on the periphery. And then you can, in stage 3, move even larger to include other circles, so much broader audiences. But this is basically playing to how the YouTube algorithm works, which is that it really serves your videos to a core audience first and then starts expanding from there. So it's a good strategy. Even with a small audience, you can generate $1 million in affiliate sales. Have a unique viewpoint or angle, something everyone thinks is true, but you think is wrong, something nobody in your market is talking about, but should be. Biggest mistakes people in your market are making, but are blind to. People want something surprising, and be the guide, not the guru. Explain how you did something, not how to do something, and document what you do. You seem less arrogant, you seem less preachy. Emails don't have to be, when you email people, not just go by. They can be entertaining, captivating, have personality. Here's an example. I'm going to save you a bunch of time. If the names Lucidia Sans Unicode or Courier New don't mean anything to you, go ahead and close this message. If your knees go weak when I whisper Garamond. So you can see there's a lot of personality in this copywriting, in this email. And the reason is because they're speaking to people that have a passion for fonts. So it sounds nerdy. It's going to sound weird to other people. But if you're really into fonts, that personality is going to get you excited about what they're selling. You own your email list forever, and a healthy list has 20% open rates. I think open rates largely these days are inflated. partly because of automation software that sort of scans the email. So I would take this with a grain of salt. For example, you could have one free tip each week to improve your sleep. All right, now getting people on your list, you're going to use a lead magnet. Free growth hack spreadsheet, could be a checklist, a template, advanced guide, a unique book, like 11 side hustle ideas to make $500 a day from your phone, script, tease, bonus, / resource. You could like have a YouTube video where you're talking about some sort of bonus or resource that you have and tease it, and then they click a link in your video description to go download it. Send best content emails in the very beginning when people sign up for your newsletter or your email list. Open rates decline after a few emails. Focus on quantity. Those who do well tend to outperform by doing higher volume, and this has been tested. You can tell one group of people focus on quality, another group of people to focus on quantity. The quantity group wins because they learn more by doing more experiments, and this is called the 100 reps concept. Don't focus on results. Focus on, I'm going to get out 100 emails. I'm going to get out 100 views. I'm going to get 100 pitches out to get people to buy something. That mindset is going to produce higher success than an outcomes-based mindset. Target the top creators in your niche. So for example, that's what he did with mint.com to get 1 million users in 6 months. What is one marketing activity you can double down on? Probably something that was successful in the past. It's impossible to know what marketing approach will work. Blogging worked for Mint, but not AppSumo. Paid ads worked for AppSumo, but not for OKDork. If you had to double your business with no money in 30 days, what would you do? Set a single hyper-focused exact target. Start with the destination, set a time frame. Say you have a lot of ideas that are fun, that seem interesting, that seem related to what you're doing or cater to your skills, but those things are probably distractions that are not going to bring real results. So for example, he's talking about somebody that's selling specialized glasses for people that do climbing. Let's say you're selling these goggles, and what you do is you add all your friends that have climbing listed in their profile to a sheet, and you message them individually. Get a list of every rock climbing store, offline and online, in Canada. And then you could set something like an email, helping you make an extra $1,000 at your climbing gym. We're going to split the profit evenly. And then you could take those same goggles and post them on eBay, Craigslist, Etsy, Amazon. In this case, it didn't work. But again, you don't know what's going to work. You got to try some different things. Facebook, Google ads were also not very effective. Messaging to online sites, that's what works. So this wholesale approach of we're going to sell to other people who are then going to sell to the end customers. In this case, that's what worked for this niche. And you only learn that by taking action, not thinking about it, not theorizing. Never know what's going to work, so experiment. Find out what works and double down on it. Stop doing what doesn't work. So for example, he had 100,000 Instagram followers with lots of likes, engagement was high, but Instagram never produced any sales. So he stopped doing it and doubled down on things like YouTube that were effective. Stop doing every other channel except YouTube. Remember, what you have on your calendar is a reflection of what you prioritize, because those are the things that you're taking action on. Great entrepreneurs have great communities. Nobody is self-made. So that's the last piece of advice here, is surround yourself with other people that are moving in the direction you want to move, and you're going to be influenced by them.